Good morning, good morning, good evening. It's 0 dark 30 where I am. Hope you all are here with bells on. Get your special drink of choice. I'm having coffee. Welcome, welcome, students. Oh my gosh, this is going to be such a fun event. I'm so glad you all are here. I have so many things to share. We have so much to do. And welcome, welcome. The first thing we're going to do is ask you to type where in the world you are because we want to see all of the locations that we're pulling in this time. We have a chunk of students from all over, and I want to see. So, Michigan and Phoenix, Washington State, Florida, San Antonio, Texas, Albuquerque, New Mexico. You guys, another Washington State, New Jersey, Idaho, Kentucky, Hawaii, Alberta, Canada, Texas. Woohoo, Texas in the house. Well, hi, friends. This is going to be a fun event. I would love it if people would come on screen, say hello. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what to expect. I'm going to answer any questions as they come up in the chat. And we have so much to do. We're going to jump in just a second. First of all, quick housekeeping. We have some raffles for you today. This is going to be fun. And so you have to be present to win. Your email that you registered with is how we are rolling. We put it all in a thing and it twists. I don't know. Tina's my brilliant tech person and she'll figure that out. But we're going to do a drawing. So you have to be present to win. If we call your name and you're not here, we're going to move on to the next person. So make sure you stay to see if you win. Also, when you win, you get to come on screen and have a little hot seat coaching. What your question is, what your struggle is, preceptor, student, clinical, next steps, business, literally anything goes. I will be here for you to jump in for a 5 to 10 minute hot seat coaching moment. So that's fun. If you win, feel free to take advantage of that. So people are just arriving. Do share in the chat where you are. I'm going to pick back up. We got people from Indiana, Spokane, Washington, San Antonio, Texas, North Carolina, India. Is that Johanna? How cool. Hi, friend. Well, so there's lots here. And I think there's even more coming. Michigan, Las Vegas. Wow. This is a full house. We're from all over. I'm sipping my coffee because it's 0 dark 30 here. Hope you guys get something to drink. We're going to allow people about 2 or 3 more minutes to arrive. So feel free to go get yourself something to drink. And I am just going to review my notes and make sure we have everything right. Okay. Arizona, East Texas, Arizona. Southwest is representing. Hi, friends. So glad you're all here. Okay. Well, first things first, any questions about how today is going to run? If you do, type them in the chat and I will definitely answer them. The purpose of this webinar, get together, party that I'm hosting here for students, the purpose of this is a couple fold. Number one is I just know you all are struggling and I want to help you out. I want to give back. I want to show up for you. I want you to see that you're not alone in this pathway. Number two is that I feel like a lot of student midwives that I talk to are convinced of their solitude, of their individual problems, of their situation being their fault. And I feel like we need to really rename that. There's so much institutional systemic issues that are causing everyone to feel the same way. And so I feel like if we show up together, we could normalize. I mean, I don't want to normalize the dysfunction, but we could at least feel like, okay, it's not me actually. This problem is stacked against me. And when I see other people in the same place, I can relax a little bit about taking things so personally or feeling like there's so much going on. So I just thought we could get together and say, oh, I'm not alone in this. And I experience the same things. And so I'm going to name some of the pain points that I feel like I keep seeing in midwifery. but I'm not a student anymore, and I haven't been a student for like, like, I mean, I'm always learning, but I haven't done this actual jumping through the hoops student things for 25 years. And so I'm really interested to hear where you all are and what is coming up for you. Before we jump in, I just want to give a little introduction because perhaps this might be your first call with us at Midwifery Wisdom. So let's see, where am I? Here we are. There we go. There we go. Gotcha all on screen. Um, I'm Augustine. I've been a midwife for a long, long time. I have been an educator for the last 10, 15, 20 years. I worked out, I started in home birth and then I moved into birth center work. I always had robust and active student programs. So I had clinical students. Um, I had over 83 students come through my clinical rotation in various birth centers. And then I started teaching online and in person workshops. And I've had uh, more than 2,000 students come through my personal in person workshops. And even more than that in our online webinars and static classes. Education is a part of who I am. I love helping to make complex issues palatable, digestible, simple. I love bringing wisdom to midwifery. And so you're at Midwifery Wisdom Collective. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad you're trying us out. I hope that we become your like home away from home for midwifery. I hope that we become a safe place for you. We have tons of resources on the website if you haven't checked that out. We also have a number of schools, SKOOL, which is an online gamified learning environment, which I love. And we have a lot of things to share with you. But first and foremost, I started out one on one with students, and coaching and mentoring. And so that's kind of what I love to do. I do coaching and consulting and help people open birth centers and all those kinds of things. So if any of that, if you need deeper help than what we're doing this week, to this day, please feel free to reach out to me. I like to be a resource and I call myself the midwife's midwife. So as you're going through this process of becoming a midwife, sometimes you need a little help. So that's what we're here for. So welcome. All righty. I think we're going to have a poll in the chat, which I'm interested to hear from you all. I also want to give a big shout out to my team, which is here. Um, Amy and Tina and Chitna sometimes respond to you all when you reach out. So you might hear from them as well because it should never be a one woman show, right? We all need help. We all need support. So that's really important. And let's see. Okay, so we have a little poll for you. And I think that's coming up here because I want to know what kind of student you are. So let's see. Just click that poll when it pops up. Okay, last few people are entering, and then we're going to take off on this little adventure. Quebec in the house. Awesome. And North Carolina. Hey, friends. This is so fun. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I think my assistant's typing it. One more second. Um, quick question, though. If you know anyone who is planning to be here today and they're not, make sure and message them because we want them to have opportunity to win the prizes. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some pain points. So in school or in your apprenticeship, you're being taught anatomy, physiology, clinical skills, um, even maybe answering the phone or ordering ultrasounds or processing labs or really technical clinical skills, which is hopefully great. Um, it's a lot, but it feels like nobody is talking about what happens after you graduate. How do you do this thing like starting a practice, getting, lab privileges, ordering from companies and, helping them, get you the information that's state specific or any, I mean, the list could go on and on. Getting an NPI number, like there just doesn't seem like there's a ton of conversation about the after. And so I kind of make that a focus of what I talk about. I feel like a lot of midwives also feel behind when they're actually not. So I want to talk a little bit today about what imposter syndrome is and what we can do to uncouple our like there's like a shame reality around this, and I want to uncouple that because um, many students feel like they're behind, feel like they have to keep track of numbers religiously and scramble to get the information. And gosh, that's a terrible learning environment. Like that doesn't really help at all. you know? Okay, great. Thanks. That poll is coming up. So hopefully you guys can use that. Um, and welcome to those of you who are unknown level, where like you're just starting out, you don't even quite know what you're doing in this silly house called midwifery. Welcome to you. Green students, obviously, you're at the very beginning, but you're on the path. Junior students, you are now assisting. Senior students, you've caught your first baby. Primary, you were working as primary under supervision. And graduate, that's like me, you're a student forever with the certificate. So that's where those land. Definitely share with us where you are because that helps us know what level to teach to. And there's a nice mix here, which is great. A big special welcome to those of you who are brand new. I hope that you have a soft landing. I hope that we can support you in that. Okay, so talking about pain points here, I feel like another one that I hear a lot is that you're kind of afraid to ask questions because you don't want to look less, you don't want your preceptor to look at you less or look at you like you don't know. And there is this really huge pressure on students to like have absorbed the information in the first few days of their apprenticeship. And I just want to say that's not true. It takes years to become a good midwife, years to become a midwife at all. And so just to level set expectation, especially for those of you who are new, um, from the time when you start actually studying to the time when you are practicing should minimum be 3 years and oftentimes ends up being 5 to 10 years, just to level set expectations. I know it's a lot, but this is potentially the most complicated, hardest profession on the planet. So it should take some time, right? Okay, another thing that I want to say, so in terms of talking about you being behind, you're not behind. It literally takes that long. And anyone who's rushing you to go faster is either unaware of what the whole pedagogically learning environment requires, or they have their own agenda that doesn't actually match yours. So we have to actually be clear about where we are in our journey. Another thing that I feel like I hear a lot is that this isn't really even, I mean, maybe this is a fear, but I think midwives have this habit of like eating their young, where right when you get close to graduating, your senior preceptor is suddenly like, doesn't find you as lovely and maybe even is putting you down and even competing with you in a weird way. And and then once you graduate, I hear so many people feel like suddenly they've lost their support system. Their primary midwife, their preceptor has just sort of abandoned them. And God, this breaks my heart. This is such a sign of dysfunction and abuse. So I'm going to end the poll now. We've got a really nice even spread. This is just so great. Thank you guys for answering this. Um, and I'll share that with y'all. Um, and really, that helps me know so much where we are. If you're a senior student and a whole bunch of this is review, um, hang in there. We're going to get some stuff just for you as well. So this midwives eating their young thing is, it's really disgusting and we have to change it. And I know there are some new preceptors who are changing it. I know there is a bit of a change, but it is still very prevalent problem. And I don't have an answer for you except for to say look around in this chat and turn on your camera if you're able to, because this is the future of midwifery and these are your colleagues. And so try not to put as much weight on the colleagues who came before because they're not going to be here when you're deeply practicing. It's this crew that you're looking around, the colleagues that you have, the co-students that you have right now that are going to be the big supporters. So In the meantime, look for local support, look for support like this is certainly what we're trying to push back against. Okay, another thing I hear is that maybe not you specifically, but a lot of the midwives who came before you are doing this work for free or poverty wages. And that just has to change. Like you can have a calling and you still can be paid for it. Like, you can be deeply passionate and dedicated and not be on food stamps. Like these don't have to go together. You don't have to suffer for this job. You don't you don't have to. So I know that that will take some structural changes in the way that you set up and practice. I know that that will take a different modus operandi, a different setup for call, right? You can't be on call 24/7 for the rest of your life, like many of your preceptors, but you can do it. You can reach for sustainability that doesn't cause you to lose yourself in a very vicious cycle of working for your food. Like that, we can change that. Um, and then another thing that I hear is that you don't really know how to, like, who to trust with your questions once you graduate, because there's been a whole lot of online shaming. There's been a whole lot of, gosh, I don't even know what it is, but it's like not safe. The communication that happens in some of the study groups and chat groups is not safe. And then I've heard that, like your preceptors are now after you, or at least not a safe space anymore. And now there's, especially in Texas, there's been a number of cases where the governing board of Texas has used private Facebook messages in groups against their cases for the midwives. So it's like maybe there isn't even a safe space to talk. And that is very, very alarming to me. If you have another pain point that I haven't touched on, will you type it in the chat for us? Um, because I really want to be cognizant of what's going on for you all. And this is obviously just the surface. There's lots more, but do use the chat if you have anything to add to this conversation. Okay, so yeah, welcome. So glad you just found this webinar. You were in the right place. Um, Yep. Okay. Okay, great. Just checking out your chats. Um, yeah, I don't even know either, honestly, Steph, with this Meek thing. I have reached out to all the schools and Meek and NACPM and NARM, and no one will go on record explaining what is happening because I'm trying to do a podcast episode for everyone and I can't get a straight answer anywhere. My next thing is to go to the Department of Education and see if they can explain what happened. I have no idea. Honestly, it's just like one more level of the shit show that is American midwifery. And I apologize. I wish I could do something about this. I don't know what to do. I do know, however, that midwifery is not going away. Direct entry midwifery is not going away. There is a pathway through. It has not quite illuminated itself yet, but we will get through. Midwifery Wisdom is researching other entities that can certify our continuing ed units. You guys don't need continuing ed yet, but eventually when you do every 2 years, you have to get continuing ed. So we have a little bit of time to figure that out. I don't know exactly what the schools are doing. I saw two of them send big emails out. If you're in a school, talk directly to your school. They will also be researching alternative pathways forward. But yeah, it's almost laughable, like if it weren't hurting so much. Okay. Yeah, don't worry about your response for the poll. It's just a sampling. It's totally fine. Okay, here's another pain point from Jennifer. Dealing with a preceptor who is targeting me with microaggression and passive aggressive behavior. So have heard that one before. Yep. Here's another pain point. Not being compensated as a student, but doing the work. I know a signature, but it costs childcare, gas, supplies. Yes, total pain point. You have to put in so much to do this work. It is crazy. Yes. Another pain point, when family members don't understand the nature of the on-call and midwifery life. Yes, that is a real pain. Yes. Dealing with microaggressive preceptors. Another one. Yes, this is a real problem. Scared to be able to develop the connections to OBs or CNMs to keep that the other midwives in my community afloat. Yeah, you do, especially in Texas. Like I know Texas requires a supervisory or a pharmacology signature to be able to get the meds you need to even practice. And those docs are like full up because there's only like 10 of them in the whole state that are even willing to work with midwives. And so that can be a major pain point. Yes. Um, and having an apprenticeship offer but living too far away, or having an apprenticeship Oscar that where she's asking for a 5-year commitment, that's completely unrealistic. I'm sorry, that's a no. um, Lack of any kind of midwifery community. It seems like everyone is out there to get each other. God, I'm so sorry. And then you're so true. I've heard that so many times. And then the compensation piece for sure. Childcare is one of the hardest ways to get through midwifery. I don't know if this will work for you, but one thing I did to get through years ago was I I offered a room in my house for a college student to be not just a live-in nanny, but like night care specifically. So she didn't pay rent and she was able to eat with us whenever she wanted. So it was a major boon for her in her scarcity reality of getting through school. And I got to leave the house because she was sleeping in the room next door in the nights. So I don't know if that opens up anything, but we have to find alternative ways to get through
I asked
this
my
place.
doctor
And
about treating my
yeah.
TD with Midwifery.
Okay. So manage your own
My
mute buttons if you don't mind. And let's see. Okay. And let's go to the next question and keep sharing those pain points if you got them, because that really helps us understand. It just really helps us understand what's going on, and this is the place to share those. Okay, so we have a question coming up for you next, and you can go ahead and type this in the chat if you get a second. And we'll get to that in just 1 minute. So I'll give you some time to chat. Okay, let me look at my notes really quickly. So I want to talk a little bit about what I think midwifery really needs right now, and then we're going to start our giveaways. So obviously, I want you all to share what you think midwifery needs. That's a really important part of this conversation. But from my vantage point, and I get to teach nationally and internationally, and I've been out for a while, so I've got to look at this from a long vantage point. Um, I don't think that midwifery as a profession needs more midwives who are kind of white knuckling their way through the experience. Um, I don't think midwifery needs more midwives who are fighting off burnout, who are trying to prove that they're so committed, or they're peaceful, or like whatever the current Zen du jour wording is around midwifery. Like, I don't think we need more of that. I think we need practitioners, providers who actually know how to hold a boundary. I think we need providers who can fill their own cup so that they have like a resilience, a level of resilience. I think we need providers who can disagree with a client or a colleague and still stay connected to their own why. Um, I think we need midwives who know how to ask for help, who don't think it should be a one-man show. I think that's something we really need. Um, I think this next generation of midwives also really needs less proving and more building. And what I mean by that is, um, what I'm about to say might seem really far-fetched from the place you're in, or from the influence or the mentorship that you have access to, but I promise you this is true. Midwives can live an extraordinarily sustainable life. Midwives do not have to be on call all the time. Midwives can make money, like a substantial amount of money. Midwifery is scalable in a very large way. It does not feel that way and it does not look that way, but I promise you it's possible. I have a few little micro communities in the world that are proving this. It takes a completely different model than what is currently being handed down to us, where we're like the martyrdom model, where we're like, we'll die on the cross of midwifery. We have to change that reality, but it is possible. And so that's kind of what I want to ring the doorbell for. So again, what do you think midwifery needs right now? Because I really want to hear from you. So let's go back and see what is missing from your education. Um, Keegan is saying didactic training that is standardized. Oh God, yes, yes, yes. Especially regarding the skills, the nursing type skills. Yes, phlebotomy, pharmacology, et cetera, et cetera. Um, in a way, I wish I had done nursing school first so I knew I had a solid foundation. I totally feel that. That is a regret I've heard many times. Yes. Steph, more in-person workshops. I know. I used to do them and it just is a hard thing to match. So yeah, I hear you. We do need more of that. Leah is saying some degree of structure. My study is all over the place. Yes, I hear that. More thorough training or classes on suturing, IV skills, placing a Foley bulb, and things like that. And I'm so glad you're saying that. We have an IV skills coming up, actually. Maybe Tina can drop that in the chat. We have an IV skills coming up at the end of this month. It is online, not in person, but we give you the supplies to gather so that you can practice in your own neighborhood, in your own environment, in your own home while you're watching. What to what to do once you pass the NARM, especially for those who are working alone. Yes, that is a big focus of mine. And I've put together a really robust training for what to do after. It's called the fellowship, and I'll share more in a little bit. Structured study with reliable sources. Yes. Have you seen our handbook? We have a 50-page full color handbook that goes through a lot of this. I'll see if I can post that. It's on our website. Okay, preceptors, educators who are supportive of students and not abusing their positions of power, midwives to support one another. Lastly, better marketing for the profession. Oh, yes, you're speaking my language now. So many people are clueless about the profession and the scope of practice. I know how many times they've been like, oh, are you a doula? It's like, no, they're very different. Thank you. Different professions. I feel that. Skills classes for some tangible birth skills that you don't get as often an opportunity to practice. Yes. And definitely some study structure, especially for the the PEP process. Yes. I hear that. We're going to circle back to that. Johanna, preceptors in India. I know, girl. I know. I appreciate distance online learning for a lot of things, but have no idea how I'm supposed to learn to do VE or suturing or whatever online. That is a real complaint. I hear that. Yep. Midwifery needs its scope of practice defined by midwives, not OBs or people outside the profession. Yes. A work market that matches the full scope of midwifery practice from menarche to menopause. Yes. Gosh, you guys, these are so good. Completely agree with moving away from the midwifery as martyrdom. Yes, this is the path to not only burnout for ourselves, but also very poor quality of care for clients. Yes. We need midwives who have the capacity to give quality care. Yes. And where does capacity comes from? It comes from this full cup, right? It comes from being fed, being supported, a circle of support. So unfortunately, your predecessors are not handing this down. So we have to create it in a new way. Okay. So again, look around in this circle. These are your colleagues. Business marketing classes for midwives. You know what? I did those. You guys, you're going to love this. I made these resources for you. That's the part that is so overwhelming. I hear you. You went to midwifery school to learn midwifery. You didn't end up going to business school. And yet, when you graduate, some 95% of CPMs are self employed, and you have to have a huge amount of business knowledge to be successful there. So, that has been a focus of mine for a long time, and I can't wait to share with you what we're doing there. Birth emergency skills training has been helpful, but I feel like I need to do it 10 times to get the practice and confidence. That's a very good assessment. One of the things that I've done in like the fetal heart training class that I teach is we give you some auditory samples so you can practice while you're on taking the class online. It's not the same as exactly in person, but it gives you some place to try. It would be so wonderful to have a clear place to go for a checklist of sorts from beginning to end for prospective students. That, hey Tina, let's see if we can make that. That's a good one. Um, Current students, graduates, I've had all the info of word of mouth. Yeah, that's not a great way to get education. I feel you full there. Yep. Okay, looking for a way to increase the number of Indigenous midwives in their own communities so women are not obliged to leave home for birth. Yes. And also, this is the work of our times. It is, yes. I worked in Hawaii for some time, and the new Hawaiian license process basically makes it so you have to travel off island to get education, which seems impossible. I know it's so hard. It would be wonderful to have a clear place to go for a checklist. Yes, I got that. 100%. I feel that. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing those inputs. If you have any others to share, I would I would really love for you to share those with us. Midwifery Wisdom's entire mission and ethos is to create what you can't find elsewhere. We are here to fill the gap and bridge the processes. So we create a lot of online courses. Once you are ready for continuing ed, we have a lot of continuing ed courses. But we haven't created as much beginning midwifery information. And so this is kind of why I felt called to sit here and circle with you all and see what it is that we can do to meet your needs. Okay. So why do you guys think about doing a couple drawings? Let's see who's gonna win. This will be fun. So we're just gonna start with some small ones and get up to some big prizes. The first drawing we're gonna do is for a sticker bundle. We have a bunch of fun midwifery themed stickers like midwives rule, babies drool, and all kinds of other fun little sayings. And I hope that whoever wins this proudly displays it all over the place. So Tina, I believe, is going to do our little drawing. And let's see. Tina, are you there? Welcome, Savannah from South
Yeah.
Africa. So glad you're here. Okay, here she goes. Let's see. Tina's making it happen.
Y'all see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, look at this. This is so fun. I knew you would find some cool way to do it. It's like a raffle wheel. This is great. Okay,
Okay. I mean, there's
let's
100
see.
emails on here, but there's not that many people live,
We're
so
going
we
to
might have
try.
to
If
do it
they're
a
not
couple of
here,
times. Yeah.
it's okay. If they're not here, yep, we'll see. Let's see.
Okay.
Go.
Ready?
You ready? Go. Tell your friends they have to be online right now. I love that you have this automated thing. Tina, you're so smart. It's great. Okay, is Amber on the line? Unmute yourself if you are. Amber, Amber. Darn it. Okay, trying again. Christina, are you here? We do not have a full attendance today. Darn it. We want to give things away. People aren't here. Christina, last call. Okay. Take it away, Tina. We're getting very anticlimactic here. Thanks for your patience, y'all. Okay. Does anyone recognize this email? I love it though. It's a very cool email. Okay.
Nope.
Third time's the charm. Fifth time. I don't know. What number are we on? Lily. Is Lily here? Guys, it's very anticlimactic. Darn it. Okay. I want to cheer, but it's not working.
I did try to
Wait,
export like just the people who were on the call, but I couldn't find a way, so we're gonna have
no,
to
Tina,
keep
it's
doing this.
totally okay. Your people are coming and going too. You have to do it this way. It's fine.
Lily said that she's on. She's in
In
the
the
chat.
chat.
Oh,
Oh, Lily, yes, thank goodness. Come up and turn on your screen. Let's see. Where are you, Lily?
well, we have two
Yay,
winners
I love
then.
all your clips. Okay, that's fine. We can totally have two winners. We're
Who's
making this happen.
who's
Where's
this
Lily?
person?
I'm right here.
Yay, Lily. Hi,
Yay.
welcome. Congratulations. You are our first winner. Lily, do you feel like you'd like to have a little hot seat coaching?
I don't know. I don't really have any questions right now.
Okay. Is there anything you're struggling with in terms of skills or timing or learning anything?
I'm having trouble finding community and other students.
Feel that.
Like,
I feel that.
hard time.
Welcome to the circle right
Yeah.
here. Yeah, no, but that is a common complaint. Do you have a preceptorship yet? An apprenticeship?
I was working with a midwife for 4 years, but she was getting older and not busy. So in the course of 4 years, I only did about 14 births with her. And then last December, I went to Ohio and I worked with Ara Latino, if you're familiar with her, and did another 15, so around 30.
Okay. Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. If you have a not very active, quick retiring preceptor, and then you have to travel out of your area, it would make a lot of sense that you can't find community. So you might need to build community online or join our student village in the school program. But I have to say, it doesn't stop when you graduate. Like, building community is a lifelong experience in and out of midwifery. And I would say my best advice is just be really brave and reach out. Just like making friends as adults, you have to walk
Yeah.
up to someone and be like, "Hi, this is weird, but can we be friends?" Like, you just have to do that a little bit. I would say there are quite a lot of students who feel the same way as you. And so I love the idea of forming a student study group online. So you try to find people who are at the same stage as you, and you say, "I'm looking for 4 or 5 other people who want to have on a structured study group together. And we're going to take turns assigning each other a study thing and then come together once a month for a Zoom chat and discuss the content." And that is just one of the best ways to build friendships and move your education forward. Yeah. Anyone else have suggestions for them? Just go ahead and type that in the chat. We'd love that. Thanks, Lily. And congratulations. You won our little sticker bundle.
Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay. I'm so glad you're here, Lily. And next is, who was the next winner you said, Tina?
Maya Arnall@gmail.com.
Okay. There it is. Maya, are you here?
I thought they were
Are
on
you
here,
here?
or maybe that was Lily. Not sure.
Okay. Well, maybe Lily's here. Darn it. Okay. Well, we have a little clip for you. We are in the process of editing a podcast series called Pathways to Midwifery, where I have interviewed midwives from around the country at various stages of their education and their training, various different pathways. And we're putting together this really, I think, beautiful 4-part series about the tools, the tricks, the pain points, the how you get through it with midwives who've done it before you. And that's coming out soon. And we have a little clip to play you now, just as like a teaser. And again, if you have any suggestions for what midwives need, I love that in the chat while we're watching. Thanks, Tina.
My story basically started as a child trying to understand why are people having babies in the hospital. I think I was about 8 years old and I loved the library. So I would go and I always wanted to be in the what I call the taboo areas of the library where there were books where they were things that I knew it was the adult section of the library. And it would be naked women in the books, but it wasn't taboo because it was sexual. It was taboo because it was things that was not considered civilized. I came from a civilized family, and seeing this was more of the women were having babies and nursing their babies, and they're not covered. And it was
Anyone else having a mute problem right now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, Tina, I think the mute came on and we can't hear anymore.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's
a baby and research on how to have a baby and why we're having babies like this. And I also have home births in my family from my grandparents, and they all had home births. And so the first hospital birth was my grandmother. Her sister had home births. My grandmother had hospital birth because they had the money to have a baby in the hospital. And her experience, she gave me her birth story, and it was horrific. And that's when I said, I have to fix that. This can't be the way everyone believes they're supposed to have a baby. It's because you have the money to have a baby in the hospital. You are paying someone to abuse you. And I didn't want that to be the case. People went in not knowing anything because no one in that time were talking about what happens at the hospital. So no one got the information. They would go in blind and then they come out traumatized. And I did not want that to continue. So that's how my thought process came about, that I wanted to make this change. So I went to nursing school and thought that you're supposed to be, because that's the only way in the US you are a midwife, is you have to go to nursing school. And I started working with 4 male obstetricians in the 80s. And in Dallas, Texas, not many faces that look like this. All the doctors had that white skin and they were all men. And I watched women being traumatized in my face. And I thought, I'm going to get fired if I say something. But my personality is really strong and I kept fighting. And every week I kept thinking, okay, this is the week I get fired. I'm sure I'm getting fired this week. Okay, this week I'm definitely getting fired. Oh, I got in the chief of staff's face. So now I'm definitely getting fired. And I never got fired. I don't know what it is. I've seen other people lose their jobs for standing up to the doctors, but I somehow survived and decided this is, if I know this is, I don't know what it is. I was also living my life. I was getting married and having children and all of this. And I didn't stop myself and say, wait, is this the right way I'm supposed to do this? I just woke up one day and said, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And went into retail, became a retail manager, and then went back to working with doctors and starting to work at birth centers, actually working at Planned Parenthood and then working with doctors again, and decided this was my time. I turned 50 and it took that long to decide I can do home birth. And so I went to midwifery school at 50 and became a midwife.
Dawn is amazing. I hope you get to listen to their interview. I just want to reassure any of you who are starting in a different pathway than right at the beginning of your life that this is still a valid pathway, even if you start later in life. And there are many, many midwives who raise kids and do life before they do midwifery. And that is a beautiful pathway. So if that's you, I was the opposite. I started right as before I even had kids. And so that is, that's also a lovely pathway. Midwifery is right for all of us. That's the overview. Okay, let's do a drawing for a t-shirt. Who wants to, your choice. You get to pick a Midwifery Wisdom t-shirt. You ready, Tina? Let's pick one.
Yep.
Oh, good to see you all. Thank you for turning on your screens if you're able. I love seeing faces. It's hard to present into the void, you know? I love seeing all of you. So great. Okay, and if you can't, no worries. All right, Tina, let's see who's going to win the t-shirt.
Okay, ready?
Ready. Ashley, is Ashley on the call? Guys, text
I'm
your
here.
people if they're not here.
I'm
Yay,
here.
Ashley, you're here. Okay, yay.
I'm
I'm so
lagging.
glad. It's okay. Welcome, welcome. So glad you're here. Do you feel like you could take some hot seat coaching? Anything you
Sure.
want to throw my way? See if I can hold it for you.
I mean, you've already said you're going to talk about it. I think it's probably the fellowship is going to be my biggest. I'm very close to being ready to sit for the NARM. I have 3 births left. So I feel like
Congratulations. Oh my gosh.
I'm feeling relatively confident for that, but I feel like I'm going to fall off the map after that.
Yeah,
I
I feel
moved from
that.
the Houston area where there was a lot of community and midwives that were eager to hire me on to Deep East Texas where there's nobody. So I'm having to rethink. Not right now, please. Sorry, my teenagers. Having to rethink how I'm going to practice alone. Because when I got into this several years ago, that really wasn't on my, radar, I guess. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it is going to be a very individual process you're going to have to navigate. But I will say there are a lot of students and midwives who would like to be imported to an area that needs them. There are some oversaturated places in the country. There are some students, obviously, that are very planted, but there are some that are able to relocate. And so, don't underestimate the power of the draw to say, I have this new practice, I have these structures and these boundaries and this plan, I have these benefits, and I'm willing to import people into my area. So, yeah, I think don't underestimate that. People are willing to move for a good situation. And
creating a good
also,
situation. That's really what it is.
We have
what'd you
people
say?
sorry.
Oh, sorry. What'd you say, Tina? Is something going on?
We have people in the chat telling Ashley right now that they want to move to East Texas.
Seriously, like it's a
Which-
real thing. People want a good situation. Yeah.
yeah, it's the business coaching, I guess, really. Not even just that. Like
Yeah.
I'm in Texas and I realize it's different all over the world, but I get my NARM and then I have to go on and do my licensing and then what? And then
Yeah.
what? And then what?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, you're
A
not alone.
checklist
That is
even
why
would
I
be
created
great.
the fellowship. Yeah, the
Yeah.
fellowship has the big checklist. There, for those of you that want to do self-study on your own, we do have a course called Start a Midwifery Business Right. And this is sort of the intro primer of like the real nuts and bolts, numbers, pathways, procedures, things that you need to build to start a midwifery practice. So that could be a resource for you. That is included in the fellowship, so you get that data. And the fellowship is a 6-month long intensive coaching program for new graduates. So we really built this for you, Ashley. I definitely encourage you to check it out. I have a little overview I'm going to share in just a bit. And I see Chitna dropped the link in the chat if you want to go look at the sales page. But there is a pathway through this frustrating transition point that does lead to sustainability. There's another pathway through that leads to spinning your wheels for years and feeling ineffective and overwhelmed and burned out before you even start. And that's literally why I started this. Is I think midwives do need a bridge, right? So when you graduate nursing school, you're hired as a nurse, but you have a 6-month probation in your first job where you have a direct mentor. You graduate from medical school and you have a 4-year residency. Like there's built-in systems to help that launch, and we don't have that midwifery, and that's a real problem. So yeah, that you're naming the pain point. I agree with you entirely. Ashley, anything else specific to your transition that you want support with?
Any particular NARM study tools? I mean, I've looked at a bunch of them, but that you recommend?
Well, I don't know if I have a tool that I love, but I do have a set of advice that I always give. Can I share my advice with you?
Of course, of course.
Okay, here's the advice that I give. The NARM exam is a beginning midwifery exam. And if you are doing midwifery education in any modern midwifery community, you do not have beginning midwifery knowledge. You have advanced midwifery knowledge. And what trips up most folks who don't pass the NARM exam is they literally overthought it. They are too good to take the exam.
That makes a lot of sense because the later part of my studies have been all of the abnormals and things that
Yeah,
we can do in
which
Texas
makes
that
you a
not everybody
great
can do.
provider. It makes you a
But
great
that's what's
provider. It
fresh
makes
in
you
my
a
mind.
very
Yeah.
exactly, and that makes you a very bad test taker for NARM, because NARM's answer
Thanks.
is just it's think about the common denominator of the entire United States. There are people in Washington state who have full prescriptive privileges, including terbutaline and antibiotics. And there are people in other states who are still struggling to get recognized and have a licensing ability, right? And they can't carry meds and they can't carry oxygen and they can't order labs and they're completely off the grid. Both take the NARM, right?
Right.
So you have to think about the lowest common denominator. When you're reading the NARM question, the answer, if it's confusing, is usually transport.
That's advice I've gotten from
Even though
taking it relatively recently.
even though advanced, that's probably not what you would do once you're practicing in a modern midwifery community, because you have lots more tools, lots more resources. Birth biomechanics has exploded. There's lots that we understand that the
Right.
basic NARM exam does not even cover. So it is a basic beginning midwifery exam. Don't overthink it.
Okay.
That's my advice. Yeah. Don't
Sure.
study so much. That's my advice. Okay. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen in January. God, I wish I could know. I don't know. So for those of you that are just kind of starting out, I want to define the thresholds so that you can have a better understanding of when you're advancing and what that entails. I think one of the hardest parts about the midwifery pathway for community-based birth is that you don't graduate, you don't move on to the next course or the next level. There's not a clear structure. And so especially if things happen in disjointed way where you get all your prenatals but you're still in the assist phase or whatever, it can be hard to say where you are. So I'd like to define those for you in an attempt to get closer to having a universal definition for this process. So a green student is the student that I call, like, they're in the observing role. They're still learning about the rhythm of birth. They're still learning about the spiels in a prenatal. Um, they they don't really understand red flags yet. They don't quite understand risk assessment. They're not expected to contribute in any significant way besides moving of bodies through clinics or smiling and being pleasant. They don't quite understand the role that they're in. So their job is to watch, to absorb, and to ask questions after the clients leave. We do not grill preceptors while clients are sitting there. That's a waste of the client's time and potentially reduces the midwife's bandwidth, their capacity. But afterwards, you're welcome to ask. And that green student stays in that role until they have learned enough outside of the birth room to legitimately practice skills. So you're in a green role, observing and watching at your preceptor's practice. And then you go read and go to study groups and practice blood pressures on your friends and practice a blood draw on your friends and palpate your best friend's belly so you get hands on. You try outside of the learning environment until you have learned enough that you're ready to actually practice with a level of supervision. And then you move into the junior role. And that is when you become an assist. You need direct supervision in the junior role. This is where you are doing hands-on tasks. In the beginning, they might be like drawing up medication, taking a blood pressure, palpating a belly. And then as they get more advanced, you will be able to demonstrate practicing resolving a shoulder dystocia or the hand maneuvers for delivering a breech, and much more complicated. But during the assist phase, you are increasingly practicing your hands-on skills in front of your preceptor in practice. You're ready to move past junior when you stop needing to be told what to do next and start anticipating what's coming. In other words, you're sitting in a prenatal, you know the next is to check the belly. You understand the entire holistic flow of the care model. You might not be doing all the things. You might be sharing that with another preceptor, another student, but you know what's coming next. That moves you into the senior role. And the senior role in midwifery is where you are taking real responsibility with your preceptor present, always. That's one of the rules of midwifery. But you are taking real responsibility. You can run parts of the care, prenatal, postpartum, lactation, and even the birth parts all on your own. It doesn't mean you should be on your own, but you understand the process and you're taking that responsibility. And the mark of readiness to move into primary is that you then have practice being lead in all of those care situations. And you're making calls in real time. So here's the difference, and this is a really tricky difference. When you're a senior student, you understand the flow, you're doing the things, but you like go home and then you're like, oh, I could have said this. Or you talk with your preceptor and she's like, you could have stepped in here. Let me show you. When this is happening, you can do XYZ. And so the awareness or the judgment calls are oftentimes happening out of sync with the action. But when you're in primary phase, you are able to make judgment calls in the moment that your preceptor supports and thinks are appropriate. So while the first two phases, green and junior, are very much about behind the scenes learning and starting to come out to do hands-on physical things. Once you get to senior to primary, you actually go back inside, and now it's a coming out of confidence. It's a movement of that ability to lead. Obviously, in primary, you are catching babies and doing full care, and you're on call in the same way that your midwife is on call. In previous sections of student midwifery, you can, and I oftentimes encourage preceptors to create a staggered schedule to change up what used to happen. In fact, my favorite role is to have 7 students work at the same time so that everyone only works 2 days a week. And there's always 2 students in the clinic, but they're fresh every day. There's a new student every day. And that way, 5 other days of the week, you can take care of kids, or you can, have another job or whatever else is going on in your life. That's my favorite way. So in the earlier parts of your education, I think it's fantastic to be a part-time student. If you can split an apprenticeship with another student, even if your midwife's never done that before, you can propose that, or some alternative way, because I think it's very useful to learn this information in a slower, more regimented paced way than just like waterboarding midwifery. But once you're in the primary stage, you move to being on call at the same rate that your preceptor is. And that's vitally important for you to understand the pacing and the mental load that is midwifery. It's normal to need support in all phases. It's normal to ask for help in all phases. A preceptor who doesn't have space for you asking for help is not a great preceptor. And I know that we don't have a lot of choices, and sometimes you have to mask or deal with it. But just so that you know, let's not normalize this rigid, independent, hyper independent, aggressive independence like that. We should not normalize that. That's not how it should be. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. And then the last phase is the graduate. And this is where you have done all the paperwork. You are licensed or credentialed or certified or whatever it is that's happening in your region of the world. Even if it's just your preceptor saying you're ready. You've got some external stamp of approval. It's not all just in your head. You are a graduate. And then we go on and learn forever, because it's always changing. It's the most miraculous thing you'll ever study. We have a little clip for you from the podcast that's coming out, Pathways. And also, I'd love for you to type any questions you have while we're watching. Hey, Tina. Work. There we go. Thanks, Tina. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is basically the description of how you only know what you know, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so if you don't know, you could imagine that you have the full knowledge when you don't. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is a bias where you're limited by knowledge. So basically, people who know very little about a topic are often blissfully unaware of their own ignorance. Okay. And so this thing happens where you're learning and you're like, I'm learning. I'm going up the curve of learning. I know. Oh, I know so much. Oh, I know so much more. I know so much more. But meanwhile, the mountain that's way above you, you can't even see because of your limited knowledge of the subject. And so this happens to all people learning all things, but it's particularly salient in midwifery because my perception and my belief for a long time has been that we send people out into midwifery before they have crossed over this first Dunning-Kruger effect mountain. Because what happens if you follow this trajectory in business, in birth work, in anything, I know a little bit. Oh, I know a little bit more. Oh, I know a lot. Oh, wow, I know so much. And then, like what usually happens, oh God, I know nothing. I know nothing at all, right? And you do a few of these cycles before you come out the other end with some level of actual competence. And so what you're describing is so normal and appropriate that the clouds have parted and now you can see more that you feel like you need to know before you call yourself a full-fledged midwife. And I just want to validate that. I just want to hold this mirror up and say that's so healthy. That shows real growth. It doesn't show the opposite. It doesn't mean, oh, I didn't learn very much. It means that you've learned enough to now have the perspective necessary to climb the mountain. And I just wanted to share that with you because I think a lot of who graduate on that high you were on 6 months ago. And then they experience this crash in their first 3 years of practice and they leave midwifery forever because it's so much harder than they thought it was.
Yeah, for sure it is.
Yeah. And this is true of everything. Let's just take it out of midwifery, which is very personal for all of us, and just look at it in business. Lots of people are like, I'm going to start a business. And they go out there and they buy some equipment and maybe they rent some space and they set it up and they go and they're like, shit, I'm not making money. Or, oh my God, there's so many people that have so many questions. I don't know how to answer. And they're like, and they leave the practice or they leave the business or they sell the business or the business fails or whatever. They're like, okay, I'll go start another business. And they never actually go back and learn what they didn't learn about balance the books and about proper hires and about paying taxes. They never go back and learn what they were missing. It's a great interview. And then that's out on a podcast right now. You can check that out on our podcast platform. But this Dunning-Kruger effect is another part that I really want to name because I think a lot of midwives have this crash. And maybe that's where you are, Ashley, right now when you're thinking about what do I do next? Suddenly you see how much you have in front of you and it feels really daunting and overwhelming. But that is a normal sign. There will be these cycles where you're like, I get it. I don't know anything. Okay, now I get it. And then I don't know anything. And that's a really normal cycle. In fact, one of the things that I want to talk to you about is teenage midwifery. Have you heard of what happens when you're a teenage midwife? And this is nothing to do with age. This is developmental. I have fond memories of students over the years who start as my student being like, thank you so much. This is amazing. You're amazing. Midwifery is amazing. I love this so much. And then as they pass along, they're like, Augustine, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think you're really stupid now. And I don't think you understand anything you're telling us. And that is when they become teenage midwives, when their preceptor is suddenly a complete idiot and they have to get away from them. So if you hit this stage where you thought your preceptor was amazing and now she's literally lost her marbles, that does nothing to do with her. That means you have grown in your morals, your beliefs, your vista. You can see a lot farther now. And just like when we think our parents become stupid, it's really that we've matured to the point that we are moving into colleague space instead of this power differential of preceptor student. And it's a good sign. And a good preceptor will look and smile and be like, oh, I see you. You're a student that's now a teenager. Congratulations. And they won't take any of the eye rolls personally. They won't They won't hold you to that. They will see that as appropriate developmental stage for you to suddenly think that your preceptors are dumb. That's a good sign. Now, hopefully, as adults, you can temper those reactions compared to how we did as actual students, and you can not call your midwife names and slam doors and things like that. But if you feel like doing that, that's a really good sign. And you should be proud of yourself to getting to the point where you have critical judgment and you have the experience to make assessments and you can see things in a different way. That's a really healthy developmental milestone in midwifery. What happens when we get to that place and we don't discuss it with our preceptor is when dysfunctions and resentments come. So definitely speak up when you're feeling that way, and of course not in front of parents, right? So when you think your midwife just made a really bad call, you need to talk to them about it after the client leaves, not in front of the client. That's a way to get dismissed from our profession. Okay, so the actual sign that you are ready to graduate is that you can name what you don't know. Not that you know it, but that you can name it. That is the sign, obviously, with all the signatures and all the check marks and all the hoops that you have to jump through. When you've got through that and you're on the other side and you're saying, I can see all that I don't know. Congratulations, you are now a midwife. And you'll probably spend that way for the rest of your life, because there is a new vista, there is a new mountain, there is a new level of awareness. If you commit to be a learner for the rest of your life, you will always discover more things you don't know. And the difference between really extraordinary, safe midwives and kind of dangerous, crotchety old midwives is this place. The old midwives stick their head in the sand and say, I'm a senior midwife. I know all there is to know. And the good midwives say, I don't know. Let's research it together. Let's figure it out. Right? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all these lovely things. Look at this. We got a full chat room too. Yes. Jennifer, it's so exciting you're going to catch a baby. Congrats on your DNP program. Yep. Yes, the recording will be made available. Okay. Let's do a drawing. I'm giving you away my favorite purple blood pressure cuff and purple stethoscope. Ready to win this? I'm going to give this one away. A lot of people are Littman aficionados, but I love the 2-chamber. That's my thing. Maybe I had a burst eardrum as a kid, and I like hearing separate. I don't know. It's just my thing. I like it. I hope you guys like it. I'm giving it away. Go for it, Tina. Go. Okay. Anyone recognize this email?
It's me.
Anyone recognize this email?
That's me.
Tashana, congratulations. You
Thank
won.
you.
Are you at the point where you're using blood pressure cuff and stethoscope?
Yes. Yes.
Ooh, I hope it's really useful to you. If not, I hope you have fun practicing. Do you have any hot seat questions? Do you want to sit in the hot seat for a second? Anything that we can review or support you in?
Yes, I know you mentioned talking about it, but that's one thing that I've been like hyper focused on lately is I'm entering into my 3rd year of midwifery school, so senior year. And I'm just thinking about like, thank you, the best route afterwards, starting my own practice or whether, working with somebody. And then also as I'm building up my practice, and eventually wanting to have a birth center.
Oh, yes. Birth centers are the future. That makes me so excited that you are wanting that. Home birth is beautiful and we'll always have home birth, but to scale midwifery, we need birth centers. And I am right there for you. We just created a course actually called the Birth Center Incubator. And
Mhm.
it is a very robust resource from idea all the way up to selling a birth center. So every operation, scaling, KDPs, and all the things that it takes to run a birth center, we have that resource for you already. In terms of where you start, are you feeling like you want to have some time under the umbrella, under the wing of an employee, birth center employee relationship, or do you want to launch your practice right away?
Um, I want to, I know when I first start, like especially being new, I don't want to do it alone.
Hmm.
So I'm
Smart.
trying to decide whether I like want to do a collective, like get with some other people who are graduating or, you know,
Smart.
start being an employee and in the interim, like building my practice. So I'm just trying to figure
Yeah,
that out.
I think that's very smart. I just want to say there's a huge difference in the workload between starting as an employee and starting a practice. It doesn't mean one is better than the other. It's just like an evaluation of where you sit at that point. You're starting your third year. You'll likely graduate in the next year, year and a half, correct?
Yes, 2027.
Cool. Congrats. So you can spend some time developing the tools and the resources needed to start a practice now while you're a student. You can build your logo, you can build your website, all your socials, you can build the policy and procedures manual, the informed decision making documents, the patient front, all of your educational materials. You can gather all that in this next year and hit the ground running, but that is almost a full-time job on top of school. And if you're busy in other phases of your life, if you're busy supporting yourself while you're trying to finish school, that might be unrealistic. And instead, getting some experience working in a birth center before you're trying to run one might be a really good option as well. So both are possible, but the applying for a job and then having a clock in, clock out time frame is a very different level than all of the compliances and all of the patient front and all of the things that it takes to run a practice. So just being really realistic about what you have so that when you graduate, you have options. You're not just spinning your wheels is a good plan. It sounds like you're already paying attention to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Congrats. Our team will send you an email and we'll get your address of where to send your gift. So congrats. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about imposter syndrome. You guys heard of this? So I made some notes about this because this is kind of a big one. Imposter syndrome isn't a confidence issue, even though it's framed that way a lot of times. Imposter syndrome happens when your skill and your self trust or self confidence are developing at different speeds. That's all imposter syndrome is. So it can help you to keep the framework of what level of education you're in front and center so that you aren't struggling with thinking you should be further along than you are. If, however, you are far along in skills, but you feel like your confidence is lacking, then you are hanging around the wrong people who are bringing your confidence down. Does that make sense? So if you have, like, both are a problem, right? Having low confidence, but having the skills to do the work, but not letting yourself do the work because your confidence is low, that's a problem. But the reverse is also a problem where you have lots of overconfidence, but not the skills to match them, right? So, what we're trying to do is help those things develop at the same time. And the best way to do that is to have an honest self reflection as well as reflection from somebody else. So, this is where I think midwifery study groups are so underrated because without the pressure of a preceptor to impress or a client to get things right for, you can sit with colleagues, with peers, with your other students, and you can sort of just see who's got it and who's still learning. And that natural calibration, much like what happens when you're in any school situation, is a great way to get clear about where you are and level set your experience. Does that make sense to you all? Questions about imposter syndrome? Type them in the chat if you do, because this is an important one. The other thing I would say is, I'll see if I can find the link and share it. But there is a fantastic clip at a graduation ceremony on imposter syndrome being a artifact of the patriarchy. And I know this might be a little off topic, but how many men do you think worry about imposter syndrome? It's a much smaller percentage. This ends up being oftentimes a women's issue because of the concept of the patriarchy. Let me see if I can get the clip and I'll share it. It's a really fantastic clip with
Reshma
Ranjani.
Sojani.
Ranjani, that's it. You know what I'm talking about. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Will you share that?
I'll put it up. Yeah.
Fantastic. God, Tina, bless you. Okay. You guys, this is the kind of layers of support we want in our lives. Call it in. Call it in. Okay. So hopefully you can take a look at yourself through the lens of the other people who are doing the same path as you, like your colleagues and your classmates. Hopefully you can have an honest and respectful evaluation of your skills from a preceptor that gets you. And then hopefully you can also reduce the effect that imposter syndrome has on you because you're not giving it as much power as you should. Okay, I'm just gonna try to get to my notes here, and I think we're gonna do another little drawing. Yes. So we created a keepsake journal to keep track of all of the numbers that it takes to get through midwifery training. And we're going to give one of those away. The keepsake journal is like 100 pages. Oh, look at this, another layer of support. I'm being handed the things. Okay, here we go. This is our keepsake journal, and it is a very robust resource. Every birth has 3 pages of data that you collect so that you can do actual statistics at the end of your career of student work. It has all kinds of places to keep track of whether you did it as an assist or as a primary. It has reflection places to talk about what you learned from that birth. This is a huge resource, and we've been dreaming about this for a long time, and it's finally live. So I'm so excited to share this, and we're going to give one away right now. So Tina, let's do it. This is so beautiful. Thanks for sharing resources in the chat, you guys. This is great. Okay, Tina, you ready?
Leah. Leah.
That's me.
Yay. Congratulations. I think Augustine just dropped off. Oh, wait a second.
I'm back.
Ah, there she is.
We got a winner?
Yep, Leah.
Leah, awesome. Where are you, Leah?
I'm right here. I might have disappeared.
Ah, yay, congratulations. Do you want to have any hot seat coaching? Anything you want to review?
Yes. Right now, I'm kind of just doing self-study right now because I'm in North Carolina, so CPMs are not certified, and like going to a normal midwifery school is a bit too much for me to afford right now. So just trying to figure out what the best course of action is. And then I've been looking up like just opportunities to volunteer, but I'm not quite sure like what would be the best course of action right now while I'm waiting. And I'm also the person who had the apprenticeship opportunity, but she wants me to train with for 2 years and then give like 2 to 3 years afterwards as kind of compensation. So, yeah.
There's such a mismatch between student and preceptor world right now. Like everyone wants something from each other. I don't know. Anyway, Leah, let's focus on what can be the best for you. So let me ask you a couple questions. Have you been in a preceptorship yet? Have you learned skills, or it's all in like what you've been teaching yourself?
It's partially like 2 years ago I was able to work with that same midwife in Ohio. So she got me started on the paperwork, but since then I haven't been able to.
Okay. And there's no home birth midwives or birth centers within driving distance of where you are right now?
No.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
there's so many healthcare deserts. It's crazy. Okay. Well, so there are distance opportunities, and of course, you can relocate for education. But there's a third
Mhm.
option that I think is talked about less often, and that is actually setting up the practice, becoming a practice owner, and hiring a midwife to come run it to be your preceptor. Have you considered that?
I have not, but
Okay.
that's an idea. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, so this takes a lot of work. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. It's tremendous to
Mm-hmm.
set up a practice, especially before you are a full midwife, but it absolutely can be done
Mm-hmm.
because remember, the practice of midwifery is separate from the running of a business. So the business can be owned by
Mm-hmm.
one person and the practice can be administered by someone else. And it is a non-traditional way to start, but it is absolutely a valid way to start. Are you planning
Mm-hmm.
to stay rooted in the community you're in right now so it makes sense to open a practice, or you're
Right now,
unsure?
I'm like in a really transitional phase. My family and I are thinking to move to Alabama.
Okay. Well, Alabama needs midwives too. So
Mm-hmm.
I think wherever you end up staying planted could be a good, valid option to go ahead and open a practice and hire a midwife. It means you have to do all the marketing, all the
Mm-hmm.
administration, and all of the structure, and then hire someone. And one of the contingencies of their hire is that they agree to be your preceptor. Well, what I
Mm-hmm.
love about this model is it gives you more authority and power than most students have because you have the power to fire your preceptor if they are not doing the job, which is a really nice balance of power, if you ask me, given what's happening. Does that make sense to you? Did I drop off again, or did
Yes,
that make sense to you?
that's great.
Yeah,
Actually,
it makes sense.
that made sense to me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this. You've got a good. You've got a resource in the chat as well. So make sure and note that down. That's wonderful. Thanks, you guys, for building community. That's what it's all about. Well, Leah, congrats on the student journal. I hope you can put it to work very soon as you get or create your ideal apprenticeship.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we are going to watch a brief clip here of another part of this new series that's coming out.
Yep, just give me a sec.
Thanks so much.
I was a single mom of two. I had a younger baby. And the only midwife in the area was basically like, yeah, I won't take any students on that have young kids. And it crushed my hopes and dreams. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm moving. And I just got online and I was a part of a Crunchy Moms cloth diapering group. And I hit up all my friends and I was like, hey, does anybody have a midwife they love working with that needs a student? I'm ready to just pick up and leave. And so we ended up in Texas. And the first conversation with this midwife was like, I'm really controversial around here. I was like, oh, okay. Why? She's like, because I'll take the twin births and I'll take the VBACs and I'll do the breech deliveries. And I was like, oh, that's not really controversial, but that's definitely something I want.
That's right.
I want to learn all that. And so gung ho, I packed the kids up. We moved halfway across the country. And that was in 2019. So I started the PEP process with her and got into a year of it, of my phase twos, because I used all my phase ones for my doula births. And I found out she wasn't registered. So
With her state? With what?
probably both, from my understanding. At this point, probably both. So I had to start all of my phase starts over. And you know what happened during COVID? It was mid 2020, and we had already done so many births because nobody was burning in the hospital.
They wanted
And
to
so
get out of the system.
So we were so busy, and none of my births counted.
Oy.
But anyways, I started back over. She got registered, and then by that time I had done so many births, I felt comfortable. Just a year or two later, I think about 2.5 years in, I started taking my own clients on the side as well as working with her, and she fully supported me. I'm so grateful for the preceptorship that I got because she threw me in all the way from day one. And it was like, okay, first baby, what are you going to do? And I'm so grateful for that because it really shaped me and my confidence into the midwife I am. Because had she not, maybe I would have been timid or not ready to start a year and a half later or 2.5 years later. But I was, and I was ready to start, even though on paper I didn't have those births, right? Or because I had to restart over. And so I took a little break, and that midwife got in trouble for a couple births. So I didn't go back with her, had to find a new preceptor. My break was having my son. And then Hawaii changed all their laws. So if I did want to be a traditional midwife, as I was moving back here, it wasn't possible. So I had to find a new preceptor. I had to finish my births. I didn't have a choice. I still don't have a choice. The laws have really shaped what I am able to do and what I'm not able to do. Because right now, as they sit, they're unwritten laws, right? You can't call yourself a midwife. What are they considering traditional Hawaiian midwifery? There's nothing written in. Are you practicing traditional midwifery as far as traditional Hawaiian practices, or are you a indigenous Hawaiian midwife? And that's not written into the law. So unfortunately, I had to complete the rest of the births and I had to sit for the NARM. And so that's where I am today. I never wanted to license. And in the beginning, I didn't even want to license. It was just a matter of you're doing the steps already and to make sure you get it down on paper. And that's something that I always did from the beginning. And even though I've been practicing traditional midwifery for almost 5 years now, I do have it all on paper and I can go and get those licensures where I need to get those licensures, whether I want to travel internationally or laws change in the states that you live in. Always get your work on paper because you never know what's going to happen.
Gosh, is that not good advice? So a couple of things out of this interview. Number one is please get a copy of your midwife's license and CPM preceptor certificate before you start working with them. This is unfortunately a very big problem, is midwives who are out there in the fringe taking students, promising one thing, unable to deliver. So it is appropriate for you when you're interviewing a preceptor to say, would you mind sending me over a copy of your license, of your NARM certificate? That is a totally appropriate question. In the same way that they're going to want to see a copy of your NRP and your CPR certification, you can do the same. Okay. If they can't provide that to you, that is a very large red flag. Please proceed with caution. The next thing is, this is why we created the Keepsake Journal, is we want you to be able to have a record of every single birth you attend. There are 100 places for births in this journal, not the 42 or whatever NARM requires, because you will be doing some with this other preceptor. You will be doing some where you're like, that's too many transports. This one doesn't count, or the numbers, but they all count in your experience. They all make you the midwife you are. So there's lots of space for you to keep track of the births you go to. The third thing I want to say is she presented another option that I think is underutilized in midwifery for getting through your numbers. And that is approaching your current preceptor with the option of you taking students under her supervision as your own primary clients. And some midwives have not done their work and they feel threatened by this and can't quite understand what's happening there. And so, whatever, you can't change people's behavior. But many, many midwives would feel excited about the opportunity for the power shift to change, from instead of them having to hold you back and being like, this is my client, just like, wait, like I need to, to shift and be like, it's your client, do the thing, call me if you need me. Like, that's a very different power differential. And it's really a fun, a change right at the end. And so basically what that means is, and instead of saying, I will do work in the community, talking to the mom friends I have, or to my colleagues, or to someone I run into in Applebee's and try to get them into our practice, I'm allowed to approach them to be my client. And in exchange, I will pay you to precept me some portion of the client bill that I accept. It is not legal in all states because some states require you to be licensed before you take any money. But if it is legal, this is a really beautiful option. And it allows you to step more into the primary graduate role still with that preceptor support. So hopefully that was helpful to you all. Yeah. Okay. Next, we are going to do a drawing for a course. So, one of the hardest things to understand or really wrap your head around as a student is fetal positioning, cervical assessment, station. Yeah, anyone else have this? This is a hard pain point of the internal exam and what you're learning by feeling in the dark. Anyone else have trouble with this one? I know for me, it took a long time. And for many of the students I see, it takes a long time to really get what you're feeling on the inside. In fact, I have many times quoted that it takes 100 births past licensure before you really understand what you're feeling in there. So we're going to try to shorten that pathway and giving away access to our fetal positioning class. And we're also going to send you a little fetal positioning wheel so that you can get better at this. So let's do a drawing, Tina. Can you hear me, Tina? Is it working?
Yeah, can you not see the spinny thing on my screen?
Okay, now it's come up. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's working. My internet is obviously having a problem. I don't know what the problem is, but
Okay. So Rachel Boone, is she here?
Rachel, are you here?
No. And again?
Yep. Anyone recognize this email? Woohoo, it's
Oh, yeah,
Jennifer. Okay.
Jennifer.
Jennifer, do you want to come on screen for some hot seat coaching?
Yes, please.
Welcome.
Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Excited about that. Yeah, and I guess some coaching, like the biggest thing I'm dealing with now, my program, so I'm in a DNP program. I've been a nurse for about 7 years. I've done adult acute care. I have not done women's health or births. And when you went through all the phases, I feel that way all the time. And our clinicals are broken up. So,
I can
we've
still hear you. Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
okay. Yeah, we've done like, I've done like Department of Health for STI, and starting with some basic vaginal exams and some hands-on training. And then the last one was at a women's health clinic where we did perinatal care plus, contraception, family planning, STIs, and all that jazz. And then this semester, we're moving on into intrapartum. So, our program, I don't know if everyone's is set up similarly. I would be graduating as a certified nurse midwife with a doctorate in nursing practice. I think overall, and also too, this is like our first inaugural class. So we're kind of the guinea pigs for DNP for this concentration. And that has been very clear in my journey in this program. But at the same time, I can't compare it to a lot of other places. It's my only time, as a midwifery student. I think we are getting some pretty good education. I think there still needs to be some work there. But the biggest struggle that I've been juggling, so, the program is challenging. I see my growth. And then, I'm also a human. I still have, bills to pay and still trying to, you know, be an adult. But to carry that all along with also managing this interpersonal friction with my lead clinical professor, who unfortunately I feel like has been targeting me. And I actually just submitted a written statement for a formal complaint with lots of examples and even an appendix that's about 15 pages long.
Good.
So that's been happening and it really sucks. And I
It
actually
does.
plan to also get accommodations to begin to record our Zooms as well as in-person classes in hopes that the behaviors and microaggressions will stop. I have about 9 months left before I graduate, and I expect to graduate with honors, but it would be nice to do so in a more fair, healthy, professional learning environment. So that's what I've been dealing with and in navigating it really on my own. I've reported her many times with not much change. And it sucks because, I know this can happen in any nursing environment. And coming into the program, I definitely
The
kind of had,
educational environment,
yeah,
honestly. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. And I
Mhm.
had midwifery on a pedestal, right? And thinking like, not midwives, no, like they're going to be warm and lovely and kind and, welcoming to the
Uh,
fold. And
yes.
so that unfortunately has like really crashed and burned as to what to expect. And going into it professionally, trying to have some healthy boundaries,
Yeah.
personally, psychologically, professionally, to be able to do my job, but also trying to, remain safe in every way. So I don't
Yeah.
know. That's been something I've been navigating. And if you have any
Well, it sounds
tips
like you've
on
got
how
some
to
great, yeah, it sounds like you're
better
on a
manage
good
that.
path to self advocacy and really protecting yourself in this process. And that would be the part I'm most worried about is that you don't come out the other side bitter and resentful and actually burnt out already. So
Yeah,
I
it's
hope
hard.
you've got some good
But
self
then I'm
care.
I- I'm also constantly trying to do things to fill my own cup, as you said,
Yes.
which is incredibly
Yes.
important. And every break we have, which is not often, the longest one is around Christmas, which is like 5 weeks or
Yep.
so. And we go straight through. So like in between the spring and summer and fall, we have 2 weeks off. And I'm just at the
Okay.
tail end of that and spent some time in New York City just because. And then I spent 4 or 5 days in Chicago at a conference at Sister Song Conference, which is for reproductive justice.
Oh, yeah.
So those are, and then just, sleep and trying to eat and walk my dog and getting
It's a
outside,
lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
to kind of fill up my cup. So, and then building community,
Good for
as you
you.
mentioned, outside of school. Like I said, these conferences have been very much beneficial and meeting students from all over the country and professionals who I can build with, later on. So doing
Good
my
for
best.
you. Well, Jennifer, it sounds like you've got the tools.
Doing my
It's now
best.
just applying them so you can fill your cup and get through this.
Almost there.
Congratulations on
Thank
winning this
you.
access. I think it will be a really useful course for you moving into your next clinical skills. And we're really glad you're
Yeah.
here. Welcome.
Super excited. Thank you.
Yeah. Welcome. Welcome.
Well, just let me know
All
how to
right.
access the course whenever that is. So
We're going to email you directly and then you'll
sounds
get
good.
email access. Yeah, it's online.
Oh, sweet.
Okay, I want to tell you all about a few student resources we have for you. You obviously don't have to buy anything to be a good and safe practice provider, but there are some things that are free tools and there's some that cost money. I'm going to share with you a few of my favorite. So, number one, if you haven't spent time on perinatology.com, this can be a good resource because they have a due date calculator using ACOG dating rules, which you might disagree with, but unfortunately, that is what we're held to. They have estimated fetal weight calculators using the Hadlock equations, and they have dozens of other OB calculators that actually you'll want to reach for pretty frequently. So that can be a great resource for you. Another resource that I love is the billytool.org. This plots newborn bilirubins against standardized treatment thresholds, so that if you're drawing those jaundice labs, you can have something to really evaluate based on the baby's age. So that's a useful tool. Kaiser Permanente has a neonatal early sepsis calculator, so that you can run maternal GBS and symptoms against the actual risk number for the baby. And that can be helpful in planning how to transport or when to get care. MD Calc is also another way to use that Kaiser Permanente tool. We'll put that link there. The CBC GBS prevention guidelines has its own app. We love this GBS app for being able to put in the specific mom or baby data and getting the antibiotic prescription. It's a real cheat sheet so that you don't have to keep anything memorized. So the CDC GBS prevention app, that's what that's called. The NIH has a database called LactMed. This is a free drug and lactation reference. that tells you what's actually known about a medication transfer to breast milk versus the infant risk. And that can be very, very helpful. We also love the ACOG app is having more and more resources. Now, obviously, all of this with a grain of salt. We take what we need and discard the rest. But the militant, we are different attitude that came out of 1970s, 80s midwifery really needs to change. We need collaboration. We need to know each other's language. We need to speak each other's language. And one way to do that as a community-based midwife is just to get on the apps that they're using, get more information, understand what they're counseling their clients with. I am a strong believer that midwives should counsel from standard of care. And standard of care is what the common denominator of the most common maternity practice in your area is. So, like, for instance, all of you probably already know what is standard of care for length of pregnancy. Well, with the ARRIVE trial, it's kind of become 39 weeks. Does that mean everyone should induce at 39 weeks? No. But does it mean we should be talking about it with our clients? Yes, it does, actually, because then they are fully informed to make those informed decision-making processes themselves. And one of their informed decision might be, no, thanks, I'm not interested in that, which is great. But if they don't know, how do they choose, right? So talking about standard of care, to know standard of care, you have to know what's happening in the other maternity providers around you. Okay. Up to Date is another incredible resource. Up to Date is the long-standing gold standard, physician-offered, evidence-graded. It includes lots of clinical calculators and patient education handouts, and it is the collection of the most up-to-date studies on just about every topic you can imagine, and obstetrics is included in there. So that's a really great resource. We also like Dynamed, which is Up to Date's competitor. It's a little bit cheaper, so that can be helpful. It does have algorithms and calculators built in, which is great. Visual DX is another one. This is for visual diagnoses of rashes and skin findings. And I feel like this one is particularly helpful because they are race literate and are sharing things that are different with different people's skin. So that's great. Open Evidence is a newer answer engine. And this is a huge base of peer-reviewed literature and returns answers for specific clinical questions. It is free. There is it is ad supported, which is how they pay for it. But for me, I feel like that's worth it as a replacement for Up to Date, which is quite expensive for folks. And then, of course, we are big fans of evidence-based births professional membership. Rebecca Decker started this more than a decade ago and is built specifically for birth professionals and speaks directly to CPMs, CNMs, doulas, childbirth educators. So evidence-based birth is a really amazing resource. It is $69 a month, so that's not cheap, but it is not a big corporation, it's a person, and we love to support people doing good work. Okay, and then of course we built a few resources for you. We already talked to you about the Student Midwife's Journal, which is HIPAA compliant. Most journals that you might find on Amazon for keeping track of your births are not HIPAA compliant, and students are also held to HIPAA rules. So ours is HIPAA compliant, and it allows you to track all of your numbers and keep track of your reflections. So we love this for students. We also built a handbook. The student handbook is a reference for how to start and grow in your process of midwifery. It includes the first equipment you should buy. It includes a sample contract with your preceptors so that you can all be above board. It includes a recommended reading list, common abbreviations. It's a really great reference book for folks who are trying to figure out this whole thing that is midwifery without a lot of guidance. And then lastly, we built the student workbook, which is a skills and drills exercises. This one is coming out hopefully by the end of the year. I'm really excited to share it with you. It goes over the most common hands-on clinical skills and gives you ways to practice those in your community with lots of drills and exercises and quizzes and all those kinds of fun. So that's going to be a fun workbook coming out soon. Okay, have you taken a midwifery wisdom course before? We've got a little poll for you to answer there. Hopefully you can check that out. And then we have some courses for you. I think for this student realm, the suturing after birth course might be one that you want to take. We also sell a silicone vaginal model and suture instruments for you to practice doing that, because practicing on a piece of meat is just not the same. We also have our fetal heart tone class, our fetal positioning class, and many, many, many others. Some you may not be ready for, but definitely these three are appropriate for student experiences. So we'll put those links in the chat, and hopefully you can take that poll and you can and bookmark those links so that when you're ready for them, they're there. Alrighty, so in the spirit of moving your education forward, our next class that we're going to auction off is our first 48 hours. And this is an intensive look at the baby's first 2 days and all the assessments, color, newborn exam, pulse oximetry, congenital heart defects, bilirubin, all the things that you might be assessing in those first 2 days of a baby's life, giving you a real cheat sheet for how to be the best baby midwife you can be. So we're going to give a drawing on this, which is first 48 hours, or the first 48, we call it sometimes. So Tina, let's take it away. Yeah, and thanks for using that poll. And it looks like many of you have not experienced our courses yet. So hopefully you will get to do that. Okay, Tina, let's see. Who's going to win?
Carly Reindeers at gmail.com. Carly here?
Yes,
Yay! Congratulations.
I'm here.
Harley is so excited for you. Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, are you in an apprenticeship? Are you able to start seeing clients yet?
Yes, I'm doing PEP and I am an RN. And so I have been kind of attending births and working through PEP stuff for a couple of years, kind of on and off. And I'm just
Awesome.
starting primaries.
Well, what good timing. This is perfect for you. So glad. Well, congrats. This is going to be such a tool for you. And I have to say, the really exciting thing is we're not only giving you access to the first 48 hours, we're also sending you a newborn stethoscope and a pulse oximeter. So you're getting a head start on your tools as well.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
So is there anything I can help you with in terms of a hot seat coach? Anything you want to ask?
I think for me right now, what I'm struggling with is feeling like maybe it's imposter syndrome, but just feeling kind of low confidence, and like the clients at the clinic are there to see the midwife that they're paying for, and um, not for me. And then when I show up to births, also just kind of like they have this relationship with her, and maybe I've been there for a couple of prenatals, and then I'm supposed to primary their birth, and like just feeling like, do they even want that? And then kind of feeling low confidence in that space.
Yeah. Well, I hear that, and that sounds very reasonable. This is kind of a weird dynamic that we're in the primaries phase, like you named. Can I ask you a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Is it low confidence, or is it just a nervous system awareness of the complicated place that you're in? Like when you get the opportunity to do it, does it feel easy? Or are you struggling with the actual skill of midwifery?
It's not the skill. It's just kind of like taking the initiative in front of my preceptor, and like I feel like deferential to her skills and decision making, and it's hard for me to be more forward.
Have you talked to her about this?
No, I haven't. It's
Well,
kind of something I've recently tried to tease apart, of like, because I'm just starting primaries, and
okay.
I've had two primary births, and I'm like, oh, okay. I think this is where I'm feeling uncomfortable.
Okay. Well, I would suggest that you set a time to talk with her. Don't do it in passing in the clinic between patients. Set an actual time to sit and have a conversation about your next phase of your midwifery and say, I feel clinically ready to do this, but I'm feeling my natural inborn respect for you getting in the way of my forward going motion. So, could I ask for a little coaching about how to do your role in front of you on your clients and see what she says to you?
Okay. Yeah, that's
Just
good.
being aware of where you are can help them coach you better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
that, Carly. And congrats. You've got a fun and amazing resource to come to.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. We have a great resource for you in school. If you haven't checked out our school, we'll drop a link in the chat. School is a platform that hosts our entire online community. Think of it less like a library course and more like a clubhouse, kind of. It's where all our content lives. We have discussions, we have community, we have lots of classes. There's not just videos that you're watching in isolation, it's actually a lot of resources for you and other people. You know, one of the things I love is the student village. It's gamified. That means whenever you use it, you like or comment or post, then you add points and you level up. We oftentimes will give away gifts for our top level participant. Um, and the student village is kind of like our student home base on school. And it's just $15 to get in. And it's a great place to do NARM prep and games to make terminology stick and really support for everything you're going through. Not just, you know, like we even have sections on how to practice self-care and what that even means. So if you haven't yet, check out our student village. It's a really fun and great resource. And I think you might like it. Okay, we have a drawing now. And Tina, maybe you're ready to make this happen. We are going to do a drawing for a birth and suture instrument set where you can practice suturing anytime you want to. Anytime you're feeling like, I just need to throw a few stitches in. We have this hands-on model for you.
Do you see that, Augustine?
Yep, now I do.
Yep.
Is this anyone's name?
Anyone's email?
Anyone recognize this email?
Okay, guess we're spinning again.
Gosh, I think that's my colleague in South Africa.
Oh,
Oh, darn it.
Okay.
Darn it. Yeah, I got to be present to win. Let's try it again. Woohoo! All righty. Is this person here? Johanna?
Unfortunately, not me.
Ah, there's another Johanna. Darn it. Okay, let's try it again. Yeah, fingers crossed. Keegan's trying for this one. This is a great thing you set up, Tina. I love this. Okay, who's this one?
That's me.
Ah, congratulations. Woohoo. We have
Thank
a winner.
you.
Yeah. Okay, how do we say your name?
Kendall Lee.
Hi, Kendall Lee. Welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So this is going to be a good resource, I think. Hopefully you can use it. Hopefully it's at this stage of life where you can get a lot out of practicing suturing, or at least hold it until it's time. I don't know.
Yes.
Where are you in your education?
I'm in my primary phase. I'm doing the PEP process.
Woo-hoo! Oh my
Yes.
gosh, then this is good. This is
Yes.
good. Time to learn suturing. Okay,
Yes.
awesome. Well, we are not sending the suture class, but just remember you can jump into the suturing after birth class and practice with some guidance using those tools that we're going to send you. and
Yay.
congrats. Is there any hot seat coaching question you have today?
Maybe any tips on self-study through the NARM process?
Yes, that's a great question. So what I have recommended before is that you go onto the NARM's website and download their outline. So it's not completely obvious. It's not exactly part of the CIB. It's somewhere on the website. I'll see if I can find it and drop it in the chat in just a second. And download the whole outline of all of the skills, and then look at the percentage that section is weighted in the exam. So for instance, gynecological care is weighted at 5% in the exam versus antenatal care is weighted at like 35%.
Okay.
Okay. So then when you're looking at these different sections, arrange your flashcards or arrange your study group or read sections of a book using your time with the same percentage as the course is weighted so that you don't end up hyper fixating on something you don't know that's actually only 5% of the exam. And instead you spend your time allocated to the way that the exam is weighted.
That makes sense. Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, Kendall-Lee, and congrats. Enjoy practicing suturing.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, friends. I have a little thing to share. If you are still a beginning greener student, a green or a junior student, everything that we've already talked about is where to focus. But if you are a primary student or a new graduate, and some of you are, I'd like to share this next bit with you. These are 3 things that I want you to know exist so that you can walk into practice with a lot more ease, confidence. You don't have to know everything, but you do have to know where to get the things you need. So here are 3 things that will really help you out. Number 1 is over the course of many, many years, I have built something called the Informed Decision Making Bundle. And this IDD bundle is the place where all of the patient forward informed decision making conversations, statistics, research is located. So you've probably already heard of the BRAINS model of informed decision making. That's a framework where you walk the client through the benefits, the risks, the alternatives, the intuition, doing nothing, and the space to figure it out. And we teach that in our Midwife Say What lab section. But the IDD bundle is using BRAINS to really make concrete the 22 informed decision-making documents, topics that you will specifically face in the practice of midwifery. Things like GBS and post dates and breech presentation and VBAC and newborn interventions and on and on. And so these are all available individually to download, but you can also buy the full bundle. And this allows you to take a real shortcut into the paperwork of starting and running a practice. So when you're a new midwife, researching and writing all of these informed decision-making documents such that they will legally protect you and properly inform and are current evidence-based is a very large barrier to entry. And so what a lot of midwives do is they end up either borrowing someone else's that doesn't quite match how they actually practice, or they end up not doing it at all or forcing themselves to write it on the spot when a client is declining something like GBS testing. And all of these things make you really liable. So we shortened that process. You can brush them one at a time or all of them, and then put them to work right away. They come blank so that you can brand them and edit if needed. I mean, the informed decision-making document is there, but there's no branding on the top. We doesn't have midwifery wisdom on it. It's specifically blank so that you can put your own new business on there and use it as one of your practice documents. So hopefully you have that as a resource for you. We'll put the link in the chat. The other resource I want you to know about is our live labs series. So every month we're doing a live webinar like this on very important current topics. So like suturing, NRP, shoulder dystocia. Our next 2 labs are coming up are the IV skills lab at the end of this month and the advanced suture lab for things like labial tears or anal fissures, those kinds of things. That's coming up in September. So hopefully we can see you there, because these live labs are just a really great way to get questions answered, get a very specific level of clinical demo and practice. And we always give you a way to practice it on your own at home. So that should be fun. And then, of course, there's the fellowship and everything you've heard tonight, the thresholds, the imposter syndrome, the pain points, the need for boundaries. That is really not a 2-hour program. That is a much bigger process. And that is what the 6-month coaching is all about. And it's really the reason why the fellowship exists, is that these problems are not in isolation. They're not just you. A lot of people face these. So the fellowship was specifically built for where you are right now. If you're a primary or a graduate student, and you have to be currently attending births, and you have to be within 2 years of graduation in either direction, that you've graduated in less than 2 years ago, or you're going to graduate within 2 years. And if you're in that stage, then you are ready for this support, this fellowship. It's not another apprenticeship. It's a mentorship, business foundation, nervous system regulation, structure for how to launch your practice. And it's a cohort of students and midwives who are also building at the same time as you. So it really helps you stop thinking you're doing this alone. If tonight names something true for you, these thresholds that you're standing out, or the imposter syndrome, the isolation, and then the fellowship is actually where you can work through this together. It is 6 months. It is live calls. Myself and Christy Davis, my co-teacher, are in it, and we really want this to be for you. So I have a little bit more to tell you about it, but first I'm going to draw the Bag Lady Prize. This is a bag for everything. I'm really excited about this. Organizing your birth bag is one of the funnest and hardest parts of being ready for home birth midwifery. And I pulled together some great midwifery bags: a prenatal bag, a birth bag. I don't even remember all the things, but we're calling it the Bag Lady gift. We're sending you a bag for everything. Let's do a drawing and see who wins this. Again, you do have to be present to win. Tina, you ready? Oh, she's doing it. Thanks,
Yep.
Tina.
Another Joanne.
Okay, Joanne, are you on the call? Joanne, darn it. Okay, let's try it again. This is the Bag Lady Prize. Okay, whose email is this? Hello. Darn it. I don't know how to say this name. Requia? Is Requia here? No. Oh, Requia is on the call. We're going back to Requia then. Okay. Can you unmute yourself? Is it working, or is your microphone's not working at all? Requia, can you hear us?
Yeah, she says
It's not
at
working yet. Oh, bummer. Okay. Well, Kaya, thanks for piping up. This is your present for sure. We're going to send this to you. We have your email, so you'll get details about that in the email. Would you type a question you have, and I'll answer it when I get the next break? So take your time, answer the question, and I'll go on to this, and then we'll come back to you in just like 2 or 3 minutes. And congrats. Okay, well, so I want to just give you a little more insight into the fellowship for those of you that are considering this. Really, this is a resource, and I feel like it is a gap. It's filling a gap that we intend to close. The Midwifery Wisdom Fellowship is a 6-month live mentorship program. It starts in September, so it's really only 2 weeks away. It's not another apprenticeship. You already are about to finish that. This is what comes after. And I call it like the bridge between I have my clinical training and now I have a sustainable, confident practice. So those two places are a huge gap, and we're trying to close them. So what's inside is month by month, we start with who you are as a midwife, values, boundaries, professional identity. Then we move into trauma-informed practice, understanding it in your client and preventing it in yourself. Then we go through equity, boundaries, preceptor dynamics, including how to navigate a bad placement without burning a bridge, advocacy, interprofessional collaboration, how to speak midwifery in a hospital room without apologizing for it. Then we go into business, the real infrastructure, pricing, contracts, marketing that they just don't train you in school. And we also close with a leadership and launch plan so that we map your first 12 months of practice while you're actually, before you're actually in them, when you're ready to build. Our monthly theme teaching sessions are about like a monthly group Q&A. And then we also have office hours every single week. That includes one private coaching session in nervous system regulation with Christy Davis and one private coaching session with me in sustainable business development. It's a private cohort chat space. So you have people to reach out to even at 11 p.m. Usually our first cohort just ended in June, and they have developed quite a good working friendship relationship, which is amazing. And then we have so many downloadable worksheets, so many flow sheets, calculations, formulas for all of the things that you're going to be doing. This is really for current students and grads within 2 years. And if you're a primary student or approaching graduation, this is actually where you need to be headed next. Most midwives will lose well over $100,000 across unpaid apprenticeship time, lost income while they figure out how to run a practice, and how burnout pushes them out of a field. And we want to change that. So this is not a scare tactic. It's just the actual well-documented cost of what it is like to do it without support. The fellowship is a fraction of that cost, and it's built to specifically help you avoid paying all of those unnecessary dues. One of our recent fellows put it this way: the connection to other students and new grads, the advice from Christy and Augustine, the entire content, just not feeling like I had to tackle everything alone, carried me through some of the hardest months of my training. So this is what we're trying to do. The actual outcome that we're going for is a kind of a soft landing into the career that doesn't burn you out and allows you to create sustainability in a way that you might not ever have seen documented before. What I'm asking is that if something spoke to you tonight, the isolation, the self-doubt, the not knowing where you stand, if that landed for you, then I want you in this cohort. The link is in the chat, and I want you to take a moment tonight to look at the link and read through the outline and what we're planning to do. And I genuinely want to ask you, like, this, if this speaks to you, I really want you in this cohort. We need people who are motivated to make the change, to be the change, and who don't burn out. I'm so sad to see midwives burn out before they've even really gotten into practice. They leave the profession at 5 years because they just can't figure out how to make it work. We know how to make it work, so we want to help you. And we also have a payment plan. So check it out. It's in the link on the website, and I think Tina put it in the chat as well. And yeah, so as we're wrapping up, if you have any questions about anything we covered tonight or anything in general, please feel free. Also, if you feel like reaching out to me privately, I do private coaching. And we have one last drawing tonight, which I'm really excited to offer. And let's see, let me just review the chat. Yeah.
Someone has a question in the chat for the fellowship.
Okay. Does the fellowship have recorded resources or documents so that they can be referenced back? Yes. And in fact, it's a great question. Not only is every call recorded and every Q&A recorded so that you can go through and watch the recordings, but also you have access to the next cohort's recordings. So cohort 1 is going to still be in the chat space with you, and you'll still be in the chat space with next year's cohort. So that there's this little bridge that we're building. And so you have a year's extra access to the content. I have a question about international opportunities. I'm about to sit for my NARM exam and have a deep interest in continuing learning abroad. I'm going to direct you to my colleague, Chitna. She's here in the chat, and she is hosting an international internship next year in Papua New Guinea. So check out that. That's going to be amazing. How do I start attending births when I have a small children? Yep, that is a real question. And I have 2 answers for you. Number one is find someone who can co-parent with you, whatever that looks like. Not necessarily the other parent, moms co-parenting together, grandmas, there's all kinds of people, but find someone who can do it with you, or you got to wait. And there's no shame in giving yourself to your kiddos now and doing midwifery later. A kiddo who's still breastfeeding, who is still needing you in the nights, who is still, below 3, they may not be ready for mom to be gone, and that is okay. And there's nothing wrong with choosing that first. What are the best self-study tools and methods for midwifery? That's going to be very personal. Some people are really great at self-identification and some are not. Some are very, they need a structure. If you need a structure, then I recommend you join a school, either ours or someone else's, so that you have a step-by-step guidance. If you are a self-starting learner, if you're, really self-motivated, then a great way to start is to go to the glossary in the back of any midwifery book and quiz yourself until you can answer what each of the glossary terms mean. If you don't, then just look that up on that page and read it through in several books. And that'll give you a good working knowledge so that you come to your next preceptor slip with a level of understanding, at least of the terminology. Yeah, great. How to do travel student midwifery? Yep. Please email Chitna. She's got some options for you. And finding funding before loans. Latoya, sorry. Will you give me a little perspective here? Loans for education or for starting a practice, birth center? What exactly? Elaborate a little bit for me. Okay, if I missed any questions, let me know. I'll try to get those. It looks like the fellowship link is in the chat. Thank you so much. And also the NARM test specifications is located on page 32 of the Canon Information Bulletin. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Great. And so Latoya is saying education. Some who may, let's see, some who may have to move for programs. Yeah. Funding for education is one of the most challenging barriers to entry, I think, in the community-based midwifery. I would say a couple of things. I don't know any specific funding programs. I do know that there are some schools that have the Title 9 or Title 10 funding? Like MCU, you can get student loans. I think Bastyr, you can get student loans. So pick a school that you can access government programs would be one option. Another option would be to partner with another student who's also struggling and pool resources, share the same textbooks, carpool, share childcare. I know it sounds like going out of your way, but it is a great way to reduce expenses. And then lastly, I would say, Latoya, don't be afraid to ask your midwife and ask your community. It is okay to post your Venmo, to say what you're looking for, to say to your preceptor, I want to do this, but this is my barrier. And keep asking for help. You'll be surprised where help can show up. And sometimes it's not really fair, but the squeakiest wheel gets the grease, right? So keep saying, I need help. I'm here. I need help. And I think the universe will meet you there. If there's anything very specific that you're looking for besides this genetic advice, please feel free to reach out and we'll see what we can do to support you. And Taylor's saying, any advice on how to market yourself as a primary student under your preceptor? I plan to use some on social media. The first thing I would say is make sure that it's not illegal for you to claim that you're a midwife in your state before you're licensed, because there are some legal requirements in some states. Second of all, the best advice is to hang out where pregnant people hang out. So figure out how to become an aqua natal instructor at the YMCA pool, or a prenatal yoga instructor, or go to the mom's park get-ups with your kiddo, or hang out in the spaces on the chat groups where moms hang out. And the best way to market is to understand that sales is service. So where do we start? With 1,000 questions that say, what are you looking for? What do you need? What's working for you? How can I support you better? And when they feel heard and understood, they're automatically going to trust you more. So start with questions and you'll be amazed where you go. So thank you so much for being here. Let's do our last drawing and call it a day. I appreciate you all staying up with us, especially if you're on the East Coast. You've seen it get lighter here as the sun rose here in India. So we've had a nice full circle experience. Our last drawing is going to be a winner's choice. So we have a ton of classes and resources, and you can just tell us what you would like us to send you. It does need to be an online course or a product for us to send to you. Go check out our website right now. Pick which one you want if your name is drawn, and let's go for it. Thanks, Tina. While we are wrapping up and doing this last drawing, I'd love to ask you to tell us what you're taking away from this little circle. Okay, is Catherine in the call? Catherine, are you here? Darn it. Let's try it again. Allison. Allison, are you here?
Hi, I'm here.
Yahoo!
Hi, thank you so much. My children are having their bedtime meltdown, so I'm excited.
I totally understand.
I'm excited for the course choice. Pardon
Awesome.
the screams.
No worries. We'll let you go back to mama duties. You'll get an email and you can just respond with what course you'd like to be added to. Congratulations, everyone. This has been so fun. I hope it's been meaningful for you. If anyone has any feedback for us, we'd love to receive that. We are here for you. Midwifery Wisdom Collective exists to raise the collective and support midwifery. Do let us know how we can support you any further. Before I sign off, I'm going to give you the piece of advice I give all the midwives I coach. Are you ready? It's really important that you hear this. Please, please take as good a care of yourself as you do of your clients. It's the only way to make it through. We need you. We need you. We need you. Okay, friends, have a fantastic night. Take good care of yourselves. See you on the inside. Bye, friends. Bye.